So, today I'm going to be talking about Gena Showalter's new novel, Heartless. It is the first book in the new series Immortal Enemies. It came out a month ago? Month and a half? Something like that? I don't know. The first thing I wanted to talk about is not really strictly related to the actual story itself, but look at this cover. Does this not remind you of the guy who plays Lucifer in Lucifer? Yeah, so I'm gonna read the back. It says, "Vengeance is irresistible. Caesar, the unhinged one, Fey King of Midnight, can drive anyone to madness with his song. A ruthless warrior forged in hate, he lives to force his enemies to their knees. He will stop at nothing to succeed, even abducting and seducing his foe's beloved bride to ensure his own child one day sits on the male's throne. Except his prize escapes to the mortal realm before the first kiss, her heart transplanted into a human beauty with dangerous secrets. Chantal Cookie Bardot is a professional gamer girl, great at trash-talking, bad at peopling. After a long-awaited surgery, she begins to morph into a powerful Fey princess. Catapulted into a strange land ruled by a cruel but seductive villain, she must battle flesh and blood monsters and navigate royal intrigues. But the true danger is Caesar, whose every wicked touch tempts her beyond reason. Should she run or descend into the darkness with him?" So, right when I read the back of this book, I was like, okay, I know where this is going. I'm calling it right now. She's gonna, turn him into not a villain and they're gonna live happily ever after and he's not gonna be, evil and a villain anymore. And that's kind of where I figured this was going. I've only read a few of Gena Showalter's other books. I really enjoy her work, but I definitely figured this was going the girl redeems him in a way. That's really not the case. And I guess this is a spoilery review, I'm just gonna say it. I mean, it's a romance novel, it's hard to really spoil them, but spoilers ahead. She basically, okay, let's put it this way. Early on in the book, she makes the comment that she is murder curious, and I think that tells you everything you need to know. No, so she ends up sort of becoming a villainess with him in a lot of ways, while also in some ways, I wouldn't say redeeming him, but showing that he is capable of emotion or love, kind of bringing that softness almost back to him. Caesar, of course, tragic backstory, we saw that coming, but he is a very entertaining villain. He's so much fun to read. He is evil, he is kind of deranged, and his character arc is cool because he doesn't turn mushy, he doesn't turn non-evil, he just becomes the kind of evil you root for. He was great. Leading man, great. What I also really like is his backstory is brutal, it's horrific. His backstory is just, that's the kind of real evil that happened to him. And what I think is really fun is that you can argue that he's justified in some ways because of this horrible, horrible backstory. While on the other hand, you're like, okay, dude, you've been alive for something like thousands of years. At what point, or have you gone a little overboard? I don't know. And that's what's fun about him as a character, right? The female lead, Cookie, is pretty fun. I will say, when I read the murder curious thing, I thought that was kind of weird and I wasn't sure what to make of that. I think it's put in early in the book in order to justify the fact that she is very willing to go and crush her enemies, and I think and while I wasn't thrilled about the way it was worded, it just felt really weird to me, I do think it ends up working because specifically she does sort of devolve into that, okay, Caesar, let's go kill our enemies, let's go, rah! I will say, this review jumps all over the place, I'm sorry, I enjoyed the book. I guess I should have said that at the beginning. I enjoyed this book. I read it in one sitting with breaks to eat. Actually, no, I read while I was eating. But point is, I read it in an evening. I really enjoyed it. I have a few like little things that I wasn't super thrilled about. There's a couple things I wasn't as thrilled about, two very specifically. So for one, I actually think the end resolution between two of the mains was unearned in a lot of ways. I'm not a fan of like long drawn out angst when it's like just fucking talk to each other and then be done with it. That being said, I think there could have been a little more, like, you know, not just he needs to work for it a little more, but there was a little bit more that could have been done with the ending. In the sense, I just feel like she forgives him quite easily, but then, like, she could have made him grovel a little bit more, and it would have been, I think, a little bit better as a resolution. I don't know. That's just me. That's just my opinion. Like the whole review is. I still enjoyed it, and I was excited to see how they resolved everything. I just think it could have been, I just think there could have been a little bit more to it, you know? The other thing that I thought was a little weird, because it kind of drops off partway, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And this is one thing I wonder if I was more familiar with Gena Showalter's work as a whole, as opposed to, I think I've read 4 of her books. I wonder if maybe this is something I wouldn't even think about. So there is a point, so there's a thing, Cookie ends up with this power that, like, if she's wearing clothes that other people have worn before, she ends up taking on some of their personality traits. And Kesar's, like, really into it, which is something I thought was kind of weird, just because the whole thing felt a little weird to me, and like it wasn't utilized fully. It also just seemed kind of random and almost unnecessary. Like, she's already turning into this like fae princess. Why does she gets like all of these really cool, really powerful powers? Like, Cookie is OP as shit. So because of that, it's like, well, does she also need to like half turn into other people when she wears these clothes? Like, it just feels a little strange to me, and it doesn't feel like it's a big thing at one point in the book, and then it doesn't feel like a consistent thread through the whole book, at least in like a way that pays off. It doesn't take away from the book really, but just was something I thought was interesting. Those are really the only two like gripes I have with the book, and even then, like I said, I read it in one sitting. I loved it. It was so fun to read. I find Gena Showalter's books to be very well written. I find her world building to be very, very in-depth and interesting. I think it comes with the territory because she writes all of these romance novels that are all kind of interconnected. There's a lot of world building because she's doing world building for this book and for this book and for this book. And I think it ends up being very, very compelling. She does a really good job at explaining things that, as somebody who, like I said, has only read, I think, yeah, like 4 of her books, and I don't think they were in the same like world as this one, because I've read, what is it? Hold on. Sorry, I've read 3 books of hers previously. Can't Hardly Breathe, The Darkest Torment, and Last Kiss Goodnight. Yeah. So I really enjoy the fact that whatever other world building she's done for like this book and the world that this book takes place in, I don't feel like I'm being dropped into the middle of it. It might just be because this is the first book of a new series, but she has done a really good job of making things make sense. Like I said, with the exception of the clothes thing, which I'm wondering if maybe it's just my personal opinion or whatever. I'd love to know if other people, like how other people thought about that part. Other things, I think Prince Jareth, who is sort of a like antagonist but then an ally, I thought he was so fun to read. She has announced who the second book is going to be about, and it is not about Prince Jareth, and I'm very disappointed, although I am looking forward to the second book. Maybe he'll be the one for the third book. We can only hope. The end of the book, the very ending, was probably one of my favorite things. I love romance novels. I think they are a wonderful, like, wish fulfillment, escapism, whatever you want to call it. They're fun. It's fun to see people in love. And one of the things I love about romance novels is this idea that women generally don't really have to sacrifice anything. In a lot of these, like, they're happy endings. There's no sacrifices being made. Every once in a while there is, but generally it's like, no, you just get to be together, and if there's a sacrifice, it's not long term or something else. Like, it just works, and you get to have this happy ending. And the end of this book is super satisfying, the very end, because Cookie's like only friend is this like old woman named Pearl. Pearl Jean is like this old woman Cookie lives with, best friend, and then Cookie has a cat. And Cookie ends up getting to bring Pearl Jean and the cat to come live in the Fey realm with her, because she doesn't want to leave them behind, but she wants to stay with Kesar. And that is the best kind of wish fulfillment. She didn't have to sacrifice anything else to be with the man that she loves. She gets a happy ending, Pearl Jean gets a happy ending, the cat gets a happy ending, Kesar gets a happy ending, which honestly he deserved, kind of. It is nice to see this kind of like wish fulfillment, that she got to have both, right? She got to have Kesar and she got to have her friend and her cat. And I love that. I just think that was cute. I'm so happy about that, because throughout the book I was thinking, well, what about the cat? What about Pearl Jean? Like, I was really worried about them. Is she gonna never see them again? And no, she gets to see them. She gets to take them with her. And she gets the best of both worlds. And I love that. That's really my review of Heartless by Gena Showalter. It's great. I don't rate things numerically. If I had to rate it in any way, I would give it a read it now. I don't know, I don't have a grading scale for this kind of thing. I think it's really good. I think it's worth reading. It's worth your money. It's worth your time. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's a very... Okay, so the romance genre is very saturated. I don't think that's a bad thing. There is something for everybody, which I love. That being said, this does feel like a relatively fresh take. I've, read Fae romance novels before, but this one where he is evil and he stays evil and she just kind of becomes evil with him, love it. That to me feels a little fresh and I like it. I recommend you read it right now. I hope you enjoyed it. If anybody else has read it, I'd love to know what you thought. I'd love to know if I'm missing something about the clothing thing. That would be cool to know, because I do feel like I'm missing something there, but I don't know what. Yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if you liked the book. Bye!